KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Yo, what's happening in the world today? It is August 26th. We are coming at you with episode 67 of the KayFabe Smark Podcast. Make sure you guys check us out on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the fun stuff like that. And then, yeah, man, we're here to talk about wrestling. We're going to talk about SummerSlam, talk about some debuts, talk about some returns, talk about some nonsense. Before we talk about all that, we got to talk to Eric Todd. Eric, what is happening in your world?
Oh, you know, same old, just chilling. Me and my son discovered that a little hole-in-the-wall bar down the street in this country town we live in happens to serve the best goddamn tacos I've ever had. So my son and I had tacos from a hole-in-the-wall bar, and crazy little discoveries you make living in a hick town.
Living in a hick town, got some good tacos. What is the name of this place that has the good tacos?
Four Seasons.
Well, there
it's
you
not
go.
the hotel. Don't get all excited. It's the Four Seasons Bar and Grill.
The Four Seasons. The good old Four Seasons. I'm getting my kids ready to go back to school on Monday. They got all their crap gathered up and all the school shopping done, so I'm sending their happy asses back to school, done with their nonsense for the summer, and back to reality. So we are here, though, to talk about wrestling, not talk about my kids going back to school and you eating tacos.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting podcast if we stuck on those subjects. Kids and tacos.
Kids and
Taco
tacos.
kids.
We're starting a side project. People tune in, join us on YouTube at Kids and Tacos. All right. Do we have news, Eric Todd?
We do have news. There's not a whole lot, so it's not going to take up the majority of the show. But if you hit that ticker, we can get it started.
It is official this week. We have official news. Last week was just hearsay, as we did not run the official ticker. And now, here's Eric Todd.
All right. So there was humongous news in the wrestling world this week, but we're not going to delve into that until we review the shows that the big news actually happened on. So we're going to stick to the side piece news right here. First things first, the third season of Dark Side of the Ring. We saw the first half. Second half is about to come out on September 16th on Vice. And these are the episodes we have in store for Dark Side of the Ring. Hold on, we got a little technical glitch here. All right, we've got The Plane Ride from Hell.
Oh, boy.
We've got Chris Canyon. We've got FMW, Johnny K9, Luna Vachon, XPW, and finally, the WWE steroid trials.
Okay, Plane Ride from Hell. I've heard a lot of hearsay about it, so it'd be cool to get, because now they can interview Jim Ross about it. He was there and on the plane, so that'll be cool. You can get a few of those characters on there. Interested to hear about that. Luna Vachon, really interested to hear about. The steroid trial could be fun. XPW, is a crazy offshoot of ECW. I don't know about that FPM one, or what was the other one you said? There was something like that. There's another promotion one in there, but that, and then the other one.
Oh, FMW and XPW.
Yeah. XPW I heard about, FMW I don't know, and then who was the other guy? There was another person in there, another Nick Gage-ish style person it sounded like.
Johnny K9?
Johnny K9! I don't know shit about
We've all
Johnny.
heard of Chris Canyon.
Chris Canyon will be fun, the details on that. Johnny K9 I don't know shit about, so some good stuff in there. Maybe some stuff I'll learn about and actually maybe care about or at least be entertained about. Those are always fun to watch. So we will see what Dark Side of the Ring has to offer. I'm interested. I'm excited.
Yeah. And next thing in the news, big name, Bray Wyatt. Everyone knows he was recently released by WWE. He is expected big time with high percentage rates to sign with AEW. AEW announced that they have a new major AEW acquisition that is not CM Punk or Bryan Danielson. And during the latest episode of the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer was asked about it, and he said it's not 100%. His non-compete's not up, but it's most likely happening. It's at the same stage when I said Aleister Black long before it's happened. It's at the same stage. It's an expectation that's pretty strong, put it that way.
Huh.
But other
But
resources are stating that there's a few higher ups over in Impact Wrestling that fully believe that Bray Wyatt's going to be signing with Impact. I find that to be kind of unlikely, seeing as how they're lucky if they get 100,000 viewers on their show.
they're lucky if I can find what channel it's on.
Yeah, I mean, with only 100,000 viewers, I mean, it just seems like a complete waste of talent to bring a Bray Wyatt over there. Nobody's going to see him. Nobody's going to be able to find the channel to even attempt to watch him. You know what I mean? If old wrestling fans want to come back to wrestling to watch CM Punk, TNT is pretty damn easy to find.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what channel Impact's on right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. I want to say Access or something, but I'm just taking a guess. Taking a good old solid guess. Yeah, that's a wacky one to believe that he's going to make that jump, but I guess wherever the dollars are right, but
Yeah, so you got Meltzer saying it's AEW. You got a few other jacknuts in the internet wrestling community saying it's Impact. But I don't know. We're going to see here pretty soon. I believe his 90-day no compete rounds up at the end of October.
Now, do you think he goes with some type of Fiend stylish mask? Now, I know, there's a lot of WWE intellectual property is that, you can't come with that exact mask. But does he come with mask Bray Wyatt-ish look? Does he go with the old, Florida Joe shirt and, wicker hat? Does he go with a rocking chair and a lantern? What do you think he comes out looking like?
My money's on rocking chair and a lantern. And I think he's going to go with that cult Bray Wyatt that he sort of was doing with the sheet masks and all that.
The fireflies.
Yeah, that's what I hope he comes out with. But I don't know. Only time will tell. I'm sure we'll see him soon, though.
Oh, yeah. Unless you think that they may use that open door policy that they have between Impact and AEW, and they're going to utilize that and let him go to Impact, but then use him on AEW TV. Let AEW pick up the bill, or let Impact pick up the bill to pay him, but use him on AEW TV.
Yeah, that's something I could definitely see happening. Tony Khan not having to write that check, but Bray Wyatt bringing eyes over to AEW, and then also it works for Bray too. People actually get to see him on TV.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
Well,
but I'm hoping. I think Bray Wyatt's the only thing that could save the Dork Order at this point. Be honest with you, I don't think there's much of a chance of anybody saving them. But if anybody can turn them back into a serious heel faction again, it'd be Bray Wyatt.
It would be. What else you got in the old news catalog?
Speaking of free agency, Adam Cole, as of tomorrow, Friday, August 27th, will be a free agent if him and WWE do not sign a deal by then. As of tonight, Thursday, they still haven't struck a deal.
Yeah,
so Adam Cole, Bay, looking like he's going to be a free agent.
As of 9:30 on Thursday night, as we sit here and record this, he is not signed to WWE, so he could be a free agent within the next 2.5 hours.
And if I recall correctly, he's not really tied down with a 90-day no-compete, right? Because his official contract ended a while ago, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the big kick in the pants that they're having. So if he does bounce, he could just show up on Rampage tomorrow night.
Well, Rampage was taped
Oh.
this week, so he can't. I actually saw that because it was like, can Adam Cole show up on AEW? Not this week, but we may see him next week.
Ooh, teasers. Check them out.
Speaking of All Elite Wrestling, in October 23rd to be exact, it's going to be Saturday Night Dynamite. There isn't an official reason. Nobody's really said any speculated why, but obviously there's something going on that previous Wednesday. October 23rd will be Saturday Night Dynamite.
Cool.
More free agency news, Brian.
Well.
It's all over the place. You know this guy? You know the guy who works your joints?
Oh, yeah.
You know the guy who pops your fingers?
Peter Dunne?
Finger popper? Yeah, old Petey Dunne. Apparently his deal with WWE is about to expire very soon. Fightful Select is reporting that WWE have offered Pete Dunne a contract extension, though the length of the extension is not fully known, with a number of sources tossing around different lengths. The situation is being likened to that of Adam Cole, who was signed a contract extension that expires on Friday. But yeah, Pete Dunne's contract up in the air, coming up, ending very soon. Who knows where he'll go? Nobody's really fighting over him. I like the guy. I think he came back slim and trim, except for his finger popping. I think he's awesome.
Except for the finger popping. Yeah, Pete Dunne's a good grab if somebody wants to snag him up. And it just sucks that you say somebody and it just means AEW, because Impact just doesn't have just doesn't fall on a radar for me. And same with Ring of Honor. They had the chances, and they're just not there right now. Unless they literally go free agency, meaning like you pick up a show at Ring of Honor and you pick up a show at Impact and you pick up a show on New Japan and then you pick up some shows with AEW and you just kind of take it back to the territory days where you're in a show for a little bit. I'll show up to these shows and then I'm hitting the bricks. How that works for long-term TV, I'm not sure, but I guess anything's possible.
Yeah, I think Pete Dunne would be a great addition to New Japan. I think Ring of Honor would be a fantastic place for him if he could get some exposure there. But nobody's going to see him there. He's not going to want to be there. I think the only way he'd want to go over to Impact is if he could get lots of AEW TV time. But yeah, that seems to poor Impact, man. They fucking stink.
They just got to get a better TV deal. Some type of better TV deal that's easily findable. And it's not even like I have YouTube TV. It's not on there. Whatever channel it was on, I looked it up before. It ain't on there. So I'd give it a shot. I'd turn it on and, give it the old fast forward watch and know what's happening in their product. But you don't know where the hell it's at. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, and that seems to wrap up the news this week. Just a lot of free agency and speculation going on. And but yeah, spin that ticker and we'll get cracking down on some big happenings in the wrestling world.
On the juicy bits, we're coming in hot. It's AEW Rampage, SummerSlam. Big shit. Big time. Here we go. But first, before we get into all that, you know what time it is. It's time for a little overrated, underrated. And that, my friends, let's square Eric up here in his little picture so we can see his background nicely. There he is. Overrated, underrated. Objects and weapons.
Foreign objects.
The foreign object. Let's talk about. And these almost became mascots too. These objects and weapons. So let's talk about the 2x4 and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Not Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but his 2x4. Overrated or underrated?
I think the 2x4 is underrated, Brian, because it's so simple and boring when you look at it. But you put it in the hands of somebody who can get that gimmick over, and it's a hell of a gimmick. You see that 2x4, and you just automatically think Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you lick your thumb, and you stick it high in the air, and you scream, "Ho!"
Now,
so I think Hacksaw did a great job getting that gimmick over, and therefore it's underrated.
The funny stories about that is that he never traveled with it. He just left wherever he was at, and he would just go wander around the stadiums and find a 2x4 in the back somewhere. There's always a 2x4 out by a dumpster. It's like, why don't you just travel with the same one for a while? He's like, I'll just throw it away. Take a new one.
Yeah. What happens if you can't find one? You got to break a pallet, and you're getting splinters in your fingers, and it's a whole ordeal.
It's a whole ordeal. Overrated, underrated, the shock stick or the stun gun from the Mountie. Remember his little electric?
I do remember that. And as a kid, when the Mountie was actually pretty big, that thing scared the living shit out of me, Brian. But it never could be used to the full potential. Hacksaw whacked people with that 2x4, but that stun gun, it's a game killer. You could just use that thing and knock anybody out of commission, but it never really got used to its full extent. It was kind of like a useless gimmick, like Jericho's bat. You're not allowed to use it to its full potential, and then it just gets overrated. It's just scary to look at.
Scary to look at, that noise. That I remember he'd put it up by the camera when he was walking out, and you'd see the little electricity going from prong to prong, and you'd hear that crackling. You're right. As a child, it was a frightening thing. Overrated, underrated, Brutus Beefcake's shears. The big hedge clipper shears.
No doubt in my mind, those things were underrated because they made Brutus Beefcake's career. Old Ed. I can't remember his last name right now. I almost called him Ed Gein. That would be pretty embarrassing. Oh, Ed Hardy over there. Wouldn't have been shit. What was his gimmick when he's in the NWO?
The Disciple.
Yeah, he would have been the Disciple forever if somebody hadn't handed him a pair of garden shears and called him the barber.
So you're what are we underrating or overrating his shears?
Those shears are underrated because they did more work for the barber than he did himself.
We could do a whole overrated, underrated on Brutus's gimmicks throughout the world, as he was the Booty Man, and he was the Zodiac, and he was the Disciple and Brutus, and then he was just the barber. But anyways, underrated on the shears.
Speaking of the barber, my mom was in love with Brutus Beefcake. His tights with the holes in them and the fish nets underneath. My mom just... She couldn't get enough of old Brudeye now, and I've seen him in some recent shoot interviews, and the poor guy looks like he got stung by a hive of hornets.
Old brother Brudeye. Overrated, underrated, Big Boss Man and his nightstick.
Nightstick is overrated. It was just unnecessary. When it came out, it was a little bit scary, but it was just plain Jane. Didn't stick out. They tried to get the gimmick over like it was really gonna intimidate somebody, but there was nothing about it that just popped. He was already the Big Boss Man. He was already scary enough. Big Bubba Rogers scare the shit out of you if he walks up on you. No need for a nightstick. Nightstick was overrated.
Now, his skills with the nightstick were very underrated, as he could flip that baton every which way from Sunday, so he could school that thing.
Lots of practice down there in Cobb County, Georgia. Mean streets.
The only time that I found it super scary is when Nails beat the hell out of him with it. And then he was all bruised up and had the black eye and stuff. All right, last one. Overrated, underrated, Al Snow and Head.
Head is up there with the 2x4. Head is up there with Brudeye shears. Those things made Al Snow and shot him to the moon. And, yeah. Head was amazing. And the late 90s, early 2000s, when you could make lots of head jokes, it was amazing. That thing just blew up Al Snow's career. So I would say Head, completely underrated.
Yeah, man, that was one of the best things that WWE did, is kept that gimmick when he brought it over from ECW. That whole the Head gimmick and the jokes about Head and what does everybody want, and the styrofoam heads that the crowds would have. I remember the ECW with them all throwing them in the ring at him, and it was money for whatever reason. That silly ass gimmick worked.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Overrated, underrated, objects or weapons, whatever you want to call them. And Eric has spoken his piece on that, and now it's time to, talk about some happenings in the world. Did something happen on Friday, Eric?
Yeah, over in AEW, apparently over 1 million people were watching TNT on a Friday night because some fella named Phil decided he was going to show up and take up the first half hour of the show.
They're chanting for him right now if you listen closely. You can hear the echoes in the arenas around the world. Look in my eyes. Mr. Personality Phil CM Punk makes his debut on AEW and their show Rampage live Friday night at 10 p.m.
That was the biggest pop I've heard in an arena in ages. That was a Stone Cold level pop. That was a Hulk Hogan level pop. In any recent history, that was the biggest reaction that I've ever seen to an entrance.
Now, I have stated I was a CM Punk mark. I was questioning if any of this was worth it for him to come back. He left in such a way that left people after 7 years. Do people still care? Can he make people still care? Can he make me still care and be a CM Punk mark again? Can that happen? And my friends, after he got out there and cut his promo, son of a bitch, if I ain't a CM Punk mark again, I don't know who is. Boy, I bought right in. I loved it all. I loved every second of the damn thing.
Near the end of CM Punk's run in WWE, I was not a CM Punk mark. I thought he was overrated. I really didn't care about him that much. But CM Punk out of the spotlight, CM Punk's little jabs here and there, CM Punk's tweets and little smart-ass remarks about things, and interviews few and far between. And then this particular comeback right here turned me into a CM Punk mark.
CM Punk, the son of a bitch, is back. He came out. He sat crisscross applesauce in the middle of the ring. I mean, him sitting down in the middle of the ring got a pop. Damn it.
Yeah, what more can you say? When you walk into a ring and sit down and the crowd goes ecstatic, you can't get any more over than that.
No. I have also read rumors and innuendo online that he kind of freeballed that whole thing. That AEW execs didn't really know what he was going to say, and he just kind of grabbed the shtick and went out and did his shtick.
Yeah, and he's a master at that. Nobody needs to write anything for him, and obviously he's really big on creative freedom and being able to do what he wants to do, and that is a big deal over in AEW. So I think Tony Khan just handing him the reins and saying, do your thing, my man. That's all CM Punk needed to hear.
That's all he needed to hear. So let's break it down. Let's unpack it. Where you want to start at on this thing?
Well, first things first, we got to go to Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette covered this thing on one of his latest episodes, and he started out by saying, well, CM Punk debuted in AEW. It's not the way I would have done it. It was much, much better. And
yeah, I saw
Jim
that quote
Cornette,
too. I didn't know if that quote was true, so I didn't want to bring it up. Like I was gonna, check my facts with you being the Cornette guy, but I saw that as well. That was surprising.
Yeah, I heard it with my own earlobes. Cornette put that over so big, he said there's no way you could have did it any better. So, yeah, just opening the show, first thing you see is just the entranceway, and then you hear Cult of Personality come on. Punk comes out, takes forever to get down, jumps into the crowd surfs, hugs everybody, gets in the ring and does his thing. So he unpacked a lot. He got some criticism from some people for trashing WWE, so to speak, but he never even mentioned WWE in my book.
He had to mention his past and why he was gone. And if it's done well, and so far after 2 times he's been on TV, it has been. That's not the backbone of his promos. It has to be stated, but it's not everything that he's about. It's not every time he comes out shit on WWE, shit on WWE. You know, he's been out twice so far, and the first time he mentioned it, the second time didn't even come up. So I'm fine with it. He had to mention it. I had to go away to get better from what made me sick. Okay, cool. Move on. I get it.
I left pro wrestling when I left Ring of Honor, and then now I am back in pro wrestling. I don't think that was shitting on WWE. WWE does not want to be called pro wrestling. They want to be sports entertainment.
So he's not, he took the money. He probably wishes in retrospect that he wouldn't have, but would he have, would he be where he's at not doing that, right? Probably not.
Right. Without WWE, he wouldn't be nearly as powerful as he is now. His voice wouldn't be nearly as powerful.
He's not the voice of the voiceless anymore because the people speak and the people in the back listen, Eric.
I think you let a little bit of the Dynamite promo bleed in there. But yeah. I don't know if you have any pointer, actual like bit by bit bullet points of what Punk went through.
Not really. But I mean, it happened and it was there. I mean, you just sit back, swallow it, and digest it. And he told the story of what happened, where he went, where he's at now, and started a feud with Darby Allin.
That was going to be my next question. What do you think about his first opponent being Darby Allin?
Everybody loves Darby Allin. I mean, he is the guy in this company, and the internet loves him. And the internet loves CM Punk in its own way. So it's an interesting way to take on. It's very untraditional in the fact that it's who's the baby face, who's the heel.
That's what I was going to say. The crowd's just going to cheer them both through the roof. So it's babyface versus babyface, but you have no skin in the game, really. You don't want either one of them to lose as a AEW fan.
Is this a way to turn somebody heel? Does this make Punk do a big Hogan NWO turn on the people?
Well, yeah, that's Cornette's take on it. He's hoping Punk goes heel. He's hoping that Punk basically calls AEW out for how loose they are with letting people who aren't quite there yet just do whatever the hell they want. Or when there's a blatantly stupid idea like dinner debonair, just letting it happen. Or goofs who don't know how to wrestle yet or don't belong in the ring like Marco Stunt. That's what Cornette's hoping and praying for, that CM Punk just digs in and plays that heel and really eats him alive, because there's nobody you could hate more because you love CM Punk so much. So if he completely turned on you and told you everything you love is garbage, the hatred would be burn down the arena heat.
That would be some real heat. I'm talking, he's got all this time to come out and promo it up and everything in between, and everybody's cheering, and he's on his knees, and he's thanking everybody. But, I mean, I would love every second of that.
He would be the biggest heel in wrestling for sure.
Ooh, all right there. A little squealy Dan over there. But yeah, man, I loved every second of this. I'm a CM Punk mark. I got the shirt ready to go in my pro wrestling tees cart. I was looking at some other things, trying to figure out what else I wanted to get, but I'm all in. Best in the world. He's here to stay. I was happy to hear that he's going to be around a lot, and it's not going to be a creative. It's not going to be an old school Hogan type thing, or it's not going to be, he's going to be there on Wednesdays, Fridays, and his pay-per-views every couple months.
Yep. And one thing I wanted to touch on, even CM Punk's, he loves to play the speculations and rumors. You and I talked about, I believe it was last week, he talked about he wasn't going to be on Rampage. He was going to be at some premiere for a TV show or movie or something like
TV
that.
TV show Heels.
Well, the shoes he's been wearing on national TV, the keen-eyed viewers have noticed he's been writing initials on the white parts of his shoes.
Yes.
AC was one of those initials. Speculation going on around about Adam Cole, baby.
Oh, I thought it was AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
No, he was on SummerSlam.
Oh, that's right. He signed with the competitor.
Yeah. Also, another set of initials was BW, another guy who just recently got released from WWE, Bray Wyatt. And then that third set of initials, Brian, CF. The only person I can think of in the wrestling world that would matter to anybody would be Charlotte Flair. Now, her dad is supposed to be signing with AEW any day now. Her fiance is already with AEW, but I personally don't see any way in hell Charlotte Flair would throw away what she has with WWE. WWE gives her everything she wants and wraps it in $1,000 bills.
Yeah, that'd be a big one. I can't think of who it would. CF. What was Carlito's last name? Cologne. That ain't it. That's CC. Huh.
Oh, darn.
I can't think of who it would be. Charlotte Flair jumps into my brain first time, every time as well. That's all I can think about now. But does any of it mean anything?
It is CM Punk. He loves to troll. So, yeah, he challenged Darby Allin. That's going to be happening at All Out. And that's going to be a hell of a match there. And we'll see where he goes from there. He also gave the entire crowd free ice cream bars. Yeah, apparently the place, I think it's called Very Cool or something in Chicago. He ordered 16,000 ice cream bars, and they handed them out to the fans as they left the arena. And that was another big pop for him. Something simple like that. He paid for him out of his own pocket, and that just made the world love him even more.
Because that was from one of his promos in WWE back, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when he said something about bringing back the ice cream bars, and then they never really came back. And then he had the shirt with the ice cream bar on it and the whole nine. But WWE dropped the ball on that ice cream bar gimmick. They really could have brought those back and made something out of them. I mean, they got the guy right there. But what are you going to do? I don't know, man. CM Punk, now the next thing that we have to see that it says, is he back? We got to see some physicality.
Yeah, can he move? It's been a long time since he's been in UFC and in a wrestling ring. Does he still have what it takes? And that's when we get to Dynamite. He did ask that question and got a very interesting answer.
Yeah, so we got to see if he can still move. He still looks in great shape. Everything about him looks, good on physically, so we'll see if he still got it in the ring. And I'm going to lean on he does, because if he didn't, he seems like a hard ass on himself. They would go, well, no, I'm not, I can't go back and I can't be CM Punk, so what do you want me to do? You want me to go in the ring and, waddle around with his cane if his leg was blown out or something? So I'm pretty sure that he would pull the plug if he thought it was going to suck ass.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to pull a Sting and just do a couple splashes and then work 5 or 6 moves outside the ring and call it a night. I don't think Punk would allow himself to do that, allow himself to come off that cheap.
Was there anything else worth mentioning in this episode of Rampage live from Chicago?
So CM Punk took up about the first half of the show. It is a 1-hour show. They managed to cram 3 matches in after the CM Punk promo. First things first, we had Jurassic Express, that's Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with their mascot Marco Stunt. They beat Private Party in 10 minutes to advance to the AEW World Tag Team Titles Eliminator Tournament Final. Try to say that 10 times fast.
I'm all right. I didn't like it the first time.
Jade Cargill with Smart Mark Sterling defeated Kiera Hogan in 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Cool.
So we know Jade Cargill's really got that.
She's got the
she's
gas.
Yeah.
She's got the cardio.
And then John Moxley and Eddie Kingston beat up Jerry Garcia with. I'm sorry. John Moxley with Eddie Kingston in his corner beat Jerry Garcia with 2.0 in his corner and beat him in a whopping 4 minutes. Cool. So that was the rest of Rampage. Pretty much after you watch CM Punk, it was time to hit the clicker and go take a nap.
Sounds about right. That was it. That was a CM Punk hour. That was what it was. They should just let him talk an hour and just kind of ran promos and cut promos on people and reviewed the product more or something. They could have just ran with that and been done with it. But I guess the people at the show wanted to see more. I'm sure they taped something. They didn't file 16,000 people in there to to go live for 1 hour. They had to have used that to tape some other content. It would have been a waste of everybody's time.
That was it for Rampage. The next big thing on the weekend was Saturday night's WWE SummerSlam, Brian.
SummerSlam coming in at about 4 hours of a pay-per-view. What the hell was going on there?
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to watch this one live. I definitely had to wait till it was on the DVR. That way I could utilize the fast-forward button.
Yeah, so first off, they were packed to the rafters in Las Vegas, weren't they?
Yeah, 51,000 strong over in there, and you could count the amount of masks on one hand, probably.
Yeah, they were supposed to be mandatory. That was a little loose, but we're not here to talk about politics and masks and such. I liked the entranceway. I liked the way they had it laid out. It was a little different. They said they were going to be changing that stuff up, and I was enjoying it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, everything visually was amazing. As WWE's production value, we've said it over and over again. It's unmatched. You can't touch it.
Can't touch this, like MC Hammer said. Who was the first match? What do we got? What are we talking about?
We're cracking things off with RK Bro, Matt Riddle, and Randy Orton taking on AJ Styles and Omos for those Raw tag team titles.
All right. This was a little bit of a snoozer.
Right. How I broke this match down was pretty much it was an AJ Styles versus Randy Orton match. Riddle was just there to sell and then for comedic effect. Omos was there just because he's an attraction. But it's really just Randy Orton and AJ Styles working back and forth. They're doing all the work with emotionally investing the crowd, getting the ring psychology going, the smoothness of the moves. If you really paid attention, you saw Matt Riddle didn't do anything but sell to make AJ look good. And Omos just went in there and did Andre the Giant moves because he's a giant and people want to see him.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing watching that. I was going to get to that, and you beat me to the punch. But, yes, this was 100% those two putting on a clinic of how to do a match. And they worked the other two, attractions into it. And it made sense watching it. It wasn't the most high-flying or it wasn't the most – I didn't have much vested into it, I guess, maybe, is that the most of the problem. I didn't really care if AJ Styles and some giant had the titles or if a mixed weird tag team of strange bedfellows who don't come out together in different songs have the tag team titles either, right? Neither one are a tag team. The Usos are a tag team, for example.
Yeah, I don't get it. The Randy Orton we've known and loved and hated for years and years, he's not the guy who would team up with Matt Riddle. I think real life Randy Orton would look at Matt Riddle and be like, dude, you're a fucking joke. You belong over on AEW. But the crowd loves him. The kids love him. He's just a goofy ass stoner who don't wear shoes. And so yeah, Orton goes where the money is. Apparently they wanted the Viper with the fucking goofball.
Try and give him that touch. I think they want to get into that Daniel Bryan Kane they didn't want to be a tag team. They are a tag team. They win the championship. They hate each other, but they're getting the job done type thing. That's my guess, but we'll see where they take this thing.
Yeah, or Rock and Sock, same vein
Yeah.
right there. Next, we had Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie. And you talk about a snooze fest, Brian.
Well, don't forget Dewdrop was in the outside corner.
Yeah, can't forget Food Drop. And at one point, Eva Marie beats up Alexa Bliss's doll. And then that was pretty much a wrap after that. Alexa Bliss went on a fucking rampage, some Luthez presses, some beatdowns, and rightfully so, Alexa Bliss ends up beating Eva Marie. And then Dewdrop, in the biggest turn of the night, turned on Eva Marie and mocked her on the microphone.
The biggest turd of the night. And then she put on her, don't forget, she put on her robe and strutted around and then left with it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's just really going to put butts in the seat. Fucking Dewdrop with a robe on, mocking a job girl that nobody gives a shit about.
I can't figure out this Dewdrop. It weirds me out, like the name. Like, what is a Dewdrop? It's just strange.
And they spell it all goofy, too. I don't know. I didn't even copy and paste her name on here. So next we had, man, this show had some duds on it, Brian. I think they could have trimmed this thing down to 3 hours pretty easily.
They could have put an hour pre-show together with the tag team, Dewdrop and Alexa Bliss, and then some other shit, man. They could have packed up a good pre-show.
Yeah, this next match was definitely a pre-show candidate. Damian Priest challenging Sheamus for that U.S. championship. And the crowd was not really into this match, Brian. I
was torn on this one. I don't necessarily agree that it should have been on the pre-show, but maybe this should have been your opener at best. But I'm a Damian Priest mark, so I do like Priest, but he's in a weird spot. He's trying to figure out that main roster lifestyle. At least be happy he's on TV, and they haven't forgot about him and pulled him up from NXT, then said, go sit in the corner.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing I was going to say right there. I liked Damian Priest a lot more in NXT than I do on the main roster. I think he's just got to figure out his spot, just like you're saying. But the crowd, as a viewer at home, you kind of follow the crowd too. And this crowd is completely against Sheamus. Sheamus is doing his job. He's a heel. The crowd hates him. The crowd really not behind Damian Priest. They're just kind of like, meh. As long as Sheamus loses, that's all we care about.
Yeah. I just don't know if they have a connection to Priest yet. He kind of got shit on with WrestleMania with being put with, what's his name there? The stupid Mexican rapper, or whatever he is.
Oh, yeah. Bad Bunny.
Yeah, wherever he's from. He's
call
probably
him Bad Chicken.
He's probably not Mexican. My apologies. I don't know he speaks Spanish, and he raps a lot, and nobody understood what was happening. So we continue on, but he did that Bad Bunny gimmick, so he got shit on with that. Nobody got to connect with him. Nobody's connected with him yet, I think, is a problem. I come from following him from NXT, so then I'm going, oh, yeah, the guy here. But, I mean, is it what does everybody else grabbing from this guy yet? I'm not sure they got anything.
And I think the lack of connection is what kind of turned this match into a dud for me. Damian Priest, he seemed a lot more crisp, a lot more clean in NXT. I don't know, maybe it's because he was working with smaller guys, but working with a humongous Irish fella named Sheamus, Damian Priest seemed a little slow and clunky in this one. But again, I like him as a talent, and I want to see him grow, and I hope Vince don't snatch the rug out from under him.
Yeah, we can keep our fingers crossed on that. Anything else to unpack about that match, or that was just kind of existed and moved on from there?
Just a couple highlights here. Damian Priest did completely blow a dive. He did some sort of flip over the top rope, and Sheamus had to rush to just
slow him down,
rush forward to catch Damian Priest there. And then Damian Priest still ended up flat backing it and almost breaking his neck.
Yeah, he took a hard one right on there on his hip, right on his butt. And then he kept selling it, maybe not even necessarily selling it, but he kept selling it throughout the rest of the match, and that came into play roles into the match. But maybe he wasn't selling it as I was stating. Maybe it just really fucking hurt his butt.
Yeah, that tailbone, what's that? The coccyx bone or whatever.
We lost tails in Evolution. He don't need it.
Sheamus also hit this headbutt, and they showed this thing in slow-mo, and Sheamus really headbutted him, and that thing.
The worst was out of that headbutt. The headbutt was crazy. Like, he headbutted the shit out of him, but then they state that mask that he has on is solid steel. My head wanted to explode. Could you imagine somebody wearing a solid steel face mask because their nose hurt? It'd probably be carbon fiber, which is nice and light and very strong. It would be something along those lines. Not a solid steel. It's a 25-pound face mask that he's walking around with. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I must have missed that part. I can't believe they seriously said he had a solid steel mask on. He's wearing a goddamn bird cage on his face.
He had a bear trap on his head.
The ending of this match just kind of drug on. It was just Sheamus getting a ton of close pins. But eventually, Damian Priest hulks up, rips Sheamus's mask off, and then Damian Priest ends up hitting the Reckoning for the win, and you got a new United States champion.
Yeah, we get some new tag team champions, new U.S. champion. Things are getting mixed up. It's SummerSlam. I was digging it from the beginning on that aspect. The matches weren't the most amazing, but we've got new titles going different places.
We do. They're shuffling things around and getting some new blood behind those belts. Next, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. We had the defending champions, the Usos, taking on the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic.
Oof. I like the Usos. I really do. I can't say I've always liked the Usos. I've liked day one-ish, hood Usos. I've liked since they've come out and they're, wearing their Jordans and doing that when they drop the island gimmick. Really, really like them. The Mysterio thing, I've been over Dominic and Rey Mysterio since he lost his eye last year.
Yeah, I was over Rey when he lost. I've been over Rey for years. But Dominic's been training for like 3 or 4 years, something like that. And he still doesn't look like a wrestler in the ring. When he's in the ring working, he reminds me of like a special guest wrestler like Steve-O or Bad Bunny or something. He just doesn't look comfortable. He looks like he's always concentrating on what do I got to do next. And I'm calling it, man. WWE needs to just cut its losses with Dominic Mysterio. Not every child of a WWE Hall of Famer is going to have what it takes to be a main roster talent.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a stink fest. I don't care for Dominic, and I don't care for Rey Mysterio in that aspect anymore. So I say we move on from those two. They need to go find something else to do.
And thankfully, the Usos end up retaining their belts on that one. Those belts would look like shit on the Mysterios. Next, we had the Women's SmackDown Championship match. This was supposed to be Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks still was not cleared to wrestle. So in her place is going to be Carmella. And seems like they're kind of stalling. The referee's just kind of standing around. He doesn't know what to do. And you feel the anticipation. Something's got to happen here. The crowd is completely dead silent. You could hear a pin drop when Carmella's in the ring and Carmella's entering the arena. And then all of a sudden, Brian, Becky Lynch's music hits.
Whoa.
And it's the man.
The
man's back in Vegas.
The man was in Vegas, and the man was in Vegas to challenge for that SmackDown Women's Championship. Not only did she come in and she whipped up Carmella and said, hold on 1 minute, and threw her around. Now, the part that I really liked about this is after she beat up Carmella, you're going, okay, they're going to fight. Get the idea.
Right.
They're going to fight. But not only did they didn't leave it to an assumption. She grabbed a microphone. She spoke, obviously, going to get a huge pop. And then says, how about we do this, me and you, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. What do you think, fella? Does the whole gimmick and the man is here.
Right.
If that wouldn't have happened, I would have been really more hard on this match. But since there was actually a challenge and the champion had a chance to accept it, I mean, I'm not being a silly goose here. We knew she was going to accept it. There was, what else is going to happen? She just says no. I mean, that'd have been an awesome gimmick, though. She said no and, rolled out. Was like, nah, I ain't here to fight you. Dipped out, left Becky standing there. That could have been fun. But it didn't, and the match happened. Now, I think they shit on Bianca with the match.
Right. Well, first things first, I think they kind of shit on the whole contract gimmick. You know how much AEW, WWE, how much emphasis they put on contract signings.
Yes.
And, oh, you got to sign a contract to do this match. This just Becky shows up out of nowhere and asks for a title match. And then it's a verbal agreement. And all of a sudden it's a legally binding title match right here. And just out of nowhere.
Not only that, though, the other thing that I was thinking about making this, right, wrestling's 100% real, right? We're going to go with, this is the UFC. You can't just go away and then just show up. People went through battle royals and Royal Rumbles and ladder matches and everything else to get a shot at the title, right? And then Becky gets to go off for 2 years or whatever she was gone, and then just wander back in great shape, by the way, and say, hey, I want a match. I'm Becky Lynch. And they go, okay. This was about as legally binding contract as the end of WrestleMania 9 when Bret Hart told Hulk Hogan to go fight Yokozuna in the match and change the title right there.
Yeah, I think you could have turned Bianca Belair heel right here by going, it wasn't a signed contract.
Yeah.
You didn't actually win the belt. It was an exhibition.
I want my title back. That'll give you, it's weird. You can't, those little things that play into it, like you said, they roll out the black carpet, they put the tables and the black chairs in the ring, and they're going to have a contract signing and blah, blah, blah. This is just hey, I want a match. You got a match? I got a match. You need an opponent? I'm here. But the match itself, though, I thought they just poo-pooed on her. They built Bianca Belair to be the EST, right? She is the best. And then Becky comes in and squash.
Now, from what I did a little digging, and from what I see, Bianca Belair was just a victim of circumstance right here. Becky Lynch kind of came back last minute. They didn't have time to put a match together. Becky Lynch also wanted to be a heel. It was her idea that she wants to do a heel turn. And so, yeah, they worked with what they had. No time to prepare. You want to make Becky Lynch a bad guy by beating the top babyface right here. So she just went in there, did her 2 moves, a forearm and a manhandle slam. And there you go. You got a new SmackDown champion. And that puts Becky Lynch over on SmackDown with her hubby.
Yeah, saw that one coming. But I didn't take her as a heel. I didn't take Becky as a heel. The crowd was in love with her. Anything she did, they were cheering her. She beat up Carmella, who's a heel.
And I'm with you on that. From her return and from her match and from her appearance, I didn't get heel. I didn't find out she was heel till after I watched it, and I saw that she requested to be a heel, and WWE said, sure thing. You do whatever you want. You're the man.
You're the man, literally. All puns intended. But I don't know. Just after building her up, maybe they got something long-term that's, not going to, that I don't see right now. So there could be more that they could have. On Friday, they could have Bianca Belair do something different. So who knows what what they have in store. But as of right now, it was just kind of so quick and so fast, but we can move on. We spent more time talking about the match than the goddamn match lasted itself.
I was going to say the match was 27 seconds long. Not too much speculation you could pull out of that.
Right.
But next on the card here, we got Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre. And I got the highlights of that match right here. Drew McIntyre won.
I got the highlights of the match Drew McIntyre won. Unfortunately, that was it. I really do like Drew McIntyre. I like what they've done with him. I like the character they've given him. I could care less about Jinder Mahal and Shanky and the other guy, the hairy one and the goofy one in the back, his little minions. I just think it was just kind of a waste of time. It's like, how many times have these guys gone at it already? It feels like 1,000 times we've seen this, but maybe it's only been 2. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the difference.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I never really cared for Jinder Mahal. He's never really had a gimmick that I've really latched onto, whether it's 3-man band or if he just wanted to be a bad Middle Eastern guy. He never connected with me. I never cared to hate him. I never cared to like him. He's just kind of there. And then Drew McIntyre, it turns out, without the belt on him, kind of don't care about him that much.
Yeah. He's a big guy. His power moves, he's getting better at the talking. And you can become vested with him as a character, but you're right. The title really makes him. Maybe a mid-card title would fit him perfect right now. A nice
I think it's either
a nice IC title, a nice U.S. championship type thing, and, run from there.
I think he either needs a belt or he needs a really good dancing partner. When he was feuding with Randy Orton, I was fully invested in that.
Well, yeah.
Because, hell, Randy Orton could wrestle a turnip, and I would
and
be
the
invested
crowd would
in that
turn up.
But yeah, I just didn't really care for this match that much. We'll see what they do with Drew McIntyre. Only so far you can get with your sword gimmick.
Yeah.
Next, we had the Raw Women's title on the line. This was a 3-way match with Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Nikki ASH.
Now they brought it in with this one. They started to kick it up and get a match going, get some stuff going here. This one was pretty good.
Now I'm kind of going to go in the same direction as I went with the Randy Orton, Matt Riddle, AJ Styles match here. This was a Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley match with a annoying little sister getting involved, which is unfortunate because the annoying little sister is the champion at the beginning of this match.
But the difference in this is the annoying little sister, that's the gimmick she has, though. So that's the gimmick right now in general. She's not supposed to be there. She's not supposed to win. She wasn't supposed to have won at all. She wasn't supposed to win the Money in the Bank. She is the annoying little sister. So it fits the moment because that is the character. Riddle and Almost, they were just chess pieces in a game.
Right, I can see that. So Nikki, almost a superhero here. Her gimmick gets over great with the kids, and the costume gets over for the kids. I'm sure that's going to sell. That's going to be a great costume. We're going to see a lot of those this Halloween knocking on your door. But I guess I haven't followed her that much since this new gimmick change. But it seemed the crowd didn't really care when she got involved in the match. She kind of had the whole thing working against her because it's Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. You put her with the 2 biggest female stars besides Becky Lynch, and no matter who you are, you're kind of going to get shoved to the side. So already you got the annoying little sister gimmick, and you're in there with the 2 biggest stars in the company. I guess this match, there's no way it could really do anything for Nikki at this point.
Yeah, it was a difficult spot. I was wondering how they were going to do it because in my head, I didn't see him taking the belt off of her yet. So I'm like, how do they get her through this? And, well, as we come to find out, they didn't have to worry about that so much, did they?
No, I was kind of hoping they would keep the belt on her. I'm the biggest Rhea Ripley mark on the planet, but she's doing fine without a belt. Her chasing a belt is pretty interesting to watch itself. This whole Nikki come from the bottom, and she was Nikki Cross forever, and she was never a title contender. Nobody really cared about her. This almost a superhero gimmick thing is working for her. I was hoping they would let it go on a little bit longer, but lo and behold, Charlotte Flair ends up beating Nikki Ash with the figure eight. I get so mad at WrestleMania for calling her Nikki Ash, and I just did it. Charlotte Flair beats Nikki ASH with the figure eight for her, I believe it is her 178th title win.
Yeah, there's still very interesting things that they can do with this Nikki Cross thing, and she's still over with the crowd, so I think, or with, the young crowd, and I think she'll be just fine over there. Then they got her tagging up on Raw with your girl Rhea Ripley, so they did a little tag team match. So again, I think they're going with that weird mismatch thing where they're kind of making her buddy up to Rhea Ripley. So we'll see where they handle this and where they take it, but nobody lost in this match was the good thing, is what came out of it. Meaning, everybody still walked away respectable. Rhea Ripley didn't lose, Rhea Ripley didn't win, but that doesn't ruin anything for her. Nikki ASH didn't win, and clearly Monday, she was just doing just fine. So that was the best thing. It's when somebody loses and they take the egg on the face, that's when it's no good. The person who took the most egg on the face, I think, is Charlotte herself for winning. Everybody kind of on the internet you'd see scrolling through was like, oh, cool, Charlotte Flair won again.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. I guess I went into this thing just hoping that Rhea Ripley wasn't the one who got pinned or submitted, and so I come away from this not disappointed.
There you go. What do we have next? Because this was a big old show to talk through.
This was a long show. We had Becky Lynch's husband, Seth Rollins, Mr. Lynch, taking on Edge.
These two turned it up too, if you ask me.
Yeah, big surprise coming out of Edge. I popped hard for this one. Him coming out of the floor with the Circle of Flames to the Brood music. Gangrel got a kick out of that. He posted on Twitter, said he really enjoyed it.
Gangrel,
I thought that was awesome.
Gangrel ain't doing nothing. They could have called him up, tossed him $32. He'd have came out with him for a second. They probably could have just brought Christian over for a second, too. AEW would have let him.
Tony Khan wouldn't have gave a shit.
He probably wouldn't even have to run it past him.
Yeah. Seth Rollins, he is just constantly frustrated. The matches I see him, he is always so mad when he's not winning. And I don't know, the Seth Rollins always frustrated thing is
frustrating,
getting old for me. I guess it's quite frustrating.
Yeah, now that you point it out, it's probably I'm gonna notice it all the time, and it's gonna bother me. But I never really put two and two together on that, so now I have to keep my eyes peeled on the frustrated Seth Rollins gimmick.
Yeah, when things aren't going his way, he gets really cranky. I imagine when Becky Lynch makes pancakes, she has to make sure they're perfect, or else Seth's gonna break some chairs and fucking kick over the microwave.
Curb stomps her face on the kitchen chair. I said I don't want blueberries. I'm the fucking man. I'm the fucking man. Who the fuck is this guy?
Seth Rollins healing it up this entire match, going after Edge's neck. The commentators are helping along. If Edge gets curb stomped, his career is over. He's got to watch that neck. Meanwhile, he takes 546 bumps on his neck, ran into the stairs.
And literal moves called the neck breaker. He took about 3 of them.
Yeah. But if he gets stomped, it's a wrap. So he's got to watch that stomp.
Got to watch the stomp.
Most of this match was moving like molasses. I almost thought Seth Rollins was
taking a page out of Roman's book.
Yeah, I almost thought I was watching a Roman Reigns match right here. This thing was moving slow and methodical. Edge ends up in the pace a little bit. Seth Rollins hits a humongous superplex, rolls through the superplex, and then hits a Falcon Arrow, which Edge kicked out of the Falcon Arrow. And I imagine that would disappoint Excalibur very much so.
Why do you say it would disappoint Excalibur so?
Doesn't nobody kick out of the Falcon Arrow?
Oh, is that one of the ones that nobody kicks out of? I know nobody kicks out of the
I-
one-winged angel as well, but yes.
Oh. Yeah, I think the Falcon Arrow is another one nobody kicks out.
Nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow. Excrement.
Big spot with Edge spearing Seth Rollins off the apron. I'm convinced Edge has a Terminator neck because he had a neck injury bad enough to end his career, and he's back, but he's not careful with it whatsoever. So when you see Edge spear Seth Rollins through the ropes and off of the apron, the believability that his neck is fragile kind of goes out the window for me. So that's pretty much what this whole match is based on, is Edge having a fragile neck. And I wasn't buying it.
But taking superplexes, Falcon Arrows, 2.5 neck breakers, spearing him off the ring, and yet we got to buy that his neck is too sensitive to continue.
Right. I just wasn't buying it.
Right, because you can't, because you've watched him do everything else. And then the other part that I gotta mention, it goes back, but when they were talking about when Edge dropped that blood, gave him that bloodbath like the Brood used to do back in the day, they gave it to Seth Rollins. Michael Cole called it that red sticky substance, because I don't think they want to get involved with blood and this and that in the sensitive world we live in, and that really bothered me, that he dropped that brown red sticky substance on him. It was a bloodbath, you asshole. You were there for the Attitude Era. It was a callback. But we continue on with the match, and old pencil neck McGillicuddy taking on Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Michael Cole is a real sock cucker, if you ask me.
Fucking double guns, Todd.
He'll do anything. I'm sure he's in the medical facility gang. He won't say hospital. He won't say blood. So if you cut yourself at Michael Cole's house, he'd be like, let me get you to the medical facility. I don't want your red, brown, sticky substance to get all over my carpet. But then we go into false finish palooza here. It's false finish after false finish after false finish. And Edge finally ends this thing with a crossface sleeper. And it's a wrap on old Seth Rollins, and he continues to lose. He loses a lot, doesn't he, Brian?
He does, and yet it doesn't affect the son of a bitch.
Nope. He is bulletproof when it comes to that.
He is bulletproof.
Next, we had the surprise of the night for me. This was a bigger surprise to me than Becky Lynch, and this was a bigger surprise to me than what happened at the end of this pay-per-view. The big surprise was Goldberg put on a 7.5 minute match, and he did, I believe, 10 to 12 different moves.
And he didn't almost kill anybody.
That's right. No major botches from Goldberg. The match we're talking about, of course, is for the WWE Championship. We've got Goldberg challenging Bobby Lashley.
This thing was a stink fest. I mean, let's be honest. Goldberg is Goldberg. Bobby Lashley is coming to his own, and he's on a roll. But this thing, I could have cared less about. For one, you had another guy just walk in and say, "I'm next." Who are you? Where have you been? Why do you get it? How did you earn? Why do other people have to earn it, and then random people can just ask for it? I'll never understand it.
And that happens multiple times in this show, 3 times to be exact, where somebody just walks in off the street and pretty much says, I get a title match.
I want one. I challenge you, Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. But yeah, Goldberg busted out a few moves in this one and dominated the match for the first few minutes. But then all of a sudden, Goldberg's selling his hamstring. And it seems like after he's selling his hamstring, MVP hits him in the knee with his cane. Then he really starts selling the hamstring. So I thought he really hurt himself and that he was just kind of hobbling through this match. But then Bobby Lashley, man, just started running his leg into the the ring posts and slamming it on the stairs. And
Yeah, it was just a shitty told portion of a story is what it came out to be.
So yeah, I would have been okay with it if Goldberg really hurt himself. He's like 54 years old, and just got through the match. But the fact that he faked a leg injury just to end the match,
The worst was the selling of the MVP hitting him with the cane. And the best thing that happened in that, and the worst thing, the best thing that happened is WWE missed it. Production missed it. Like, the cameras weren't hot right there. You got an idea of the end of it, of what happened, and they should have left it there. That was the good part. The bad part is they went to replay and showed Goldberg getting hit with it, takes 2 steps off of his leg that got hit, and then realized it's supposed to hurt, and then grabbed it. It's like you got hit with a cane in the back of the leg, walked on it, looked back, took a step, and then said, "Oh, it hurts." It's like
the slow-mo replay killed it.
It was like when my kids fall, and they don't cry until they notice that I saw them fall. Then they start crying and freaking out. So if you ignore them, it didn't hurt. And that's where they should have left that. They should have just left it with the less is more on that one and not gave it away.
So yeah, that was the only real looking thing of this match, was after that part, actually. But Goldberg selling his leg throughout the rest of the match looked legit. But then turns out that's the end of the match right there. Goldberg just tells the referee he can't continue. And I don't get the reason behind this. If they're setting up another match for MVP and Goldberg, if they're looking to make MVP look more ruthless, Bobby Lashley look more ruthless because he just kept going after the injured leg. I don't know, but it's a wrap on this match. Lashley retains. Goldberg's son comes out of nowhere and jumps on Bobby Lashley's back and tries to attack him, ends up catching a hurt locker for his trouble. And Goldberg, as handicapped as he is after this match, tells Bobby Lashley that he's going to kill him.
Yeah. That was it was weird. It was a weird ending, and none of it made sense. I didn't see what the whole point of putting all this together was for 3 weeks or for whatever they've been working on this thing, to have him just end like that. So did he really get hurt? And then they just said, hey, I can't go through this anymore. I don't know. I haven't read anything yet, but it came out like an old stink fest. So we'll move on. Bobby Lashley lived a match against Goldberg, so hey, God bless. And the only botch may be only against Goldberg, so that's the good news.
It's getting old. Goldberg just always disappoints, no matter what. Either he almost kills The Undertaker, or he only does a 3-second match, or in this one where he actually had potential and he did a few decent moves and actually lasted 7 or 8 minutes, then just
it ends.
Cries, I can't continue. I'm the toughest guy in the world, but I can't continue because MVP hit me in the knee.
Yeah, it's like, the whole promo was, you can go back and watch and see who your father was, or you can see what he is, something like that. And I need you at SummerSlam. He's talking to his son, and then it just ends with he's like, that guy hit me in the leg. I can't wrestle no more. Stop.
If I remember correctly, Nancy Kerrigan ended up skating after Tanya Harding's bodyguard hit her in the knee with a baton. But old Goldberg can't even finish rest. He can't even walk after MVP hits him.
He can't. I mean, MVP's got some strength behind there. He is the MVP. He is the MVP. You can't be the MVP and not have a strong swing.
And then moving on from that, we've got the main event of the night. We have got the head of the table, the Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, taking on John Cena.
Oh, wake me up. Wake me up when September ends.
This match was so slow and so methodic, if you want to use WWE commentators' words.
I'm so sick of methodic.
Was so boring.
So sobering or so boring?
Both. I think if I was drunk and having a good time, this would have killed my mood. It would have sobered me right up.
Would have been so mad at him. Yeah, this thing, I didn't like anything about this match. I didn't. And I was happy to see John Cena come back. I was excited when he came back a couple weeks ago, and they had their little feud of war of words, if you will, the missionary position, and why do you do the same, and you need a revamp, and everything that they did tearing each other apart was great. And then they had the match.
Yeah, this thing was just a whole bunch of Roman Reigns slowly beating up John Cena and talking shit the entire time. John Cena just kept trying to steal a win because even though Roman Reigns can kick his ass, all he needs is a 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
Nobody would have cared if he would have stole that win. Cena does actually make a comeback here, gets his shoulder tackles in, and then it's just back and forth, back and forth. Cena ends up hitting his 5-knuckle shuffle because you got to get the pop. Hits an attitude adjustment for a 2 count. And then it was finish palooza here. Everybody hits their finish. Everybody gets a 2 count. We got STFUs. We've got AAs through a table for 2 counts. We've got AA off the second rope for a 2 count. Finally, Roman Reigns puts us out of our misery here and ends this thing with 2 Superman punches and a spear to finally put John Cena down.
Now, the AA off the second rope was pretty impressive strength-wise for John Cena being able to kind of, if you will, manhandle a Roman Reigns like that. And, sure, did Roman Reigns help get on his shoulders for the AA? Probably. But after he's up there, old Johnny Boy's got to hold him up there and continue and jump and throw him like that. So, John Cena's still as strong as ever and looking like $1 million. But, yes, this thing, other than that, was like just slow, boring, and the whole thing was for the end, I guess.
Yeah, that's what because I knew what was going to happen. I didn't watch this thing live. I knew what was going to happen after this match. Kind of put me in the mindset that this match was just there to kind of take up space so that while Roman Reigns is celebrating his victory over John Cena, Brock Lesnar's music hits, and he comes down to the ring sporting a nice little ponytail on top of his head, looking like Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Smiling, too. Sounding like a babyface gimmick.
Oh, babyface Lesnar.
So here's my question for you. Was this an audible called by WWE because Punk did make his debut the night before? Did they fly him in, or are you saying this was just the shit that they had? I mean, the Punk wasn't a surprise. The internet knew about it. You're telling me the boys didn't know about it and get it to Vince and have this well planned out that, hey, Punk's debuting the night before SummerSlam. Let's get make sure Brock's back and we got some shit to happen. I'm guessing more of that, but just curious on your thoughts on that. Was it a response to that at all?
Yeah, I'm thinking as much as WWE says AEW is not competition, Vince is still playing defense here, and he knew Punk was coming to AEW. He knew he was going to get a huge reaction, and the best way to counteract that is to bring WWE's biggest stars back. You get a match with John Cena, who's over like Rover, and then, of course, Brock Lesnar, WWE's biggest star in the moment. I think the only person who could be a bigger star than Brock at this point would probably be Dwayne Johnson.
Brock and Rock, the Brock and Rock connection. Excuse me there. Now, what makes this really interesting that Brock is back and challenging Roman Reigns, and they're doing the stare down and they're doing the whole 9. It's not those two together. It's the man on the outside. That's the real thing that stirs the pot. Ever since Brock left, Paul E. can't be the advocate for Brock Lesnar. So he's the, whatever he calls himself, not the advocate again. He changed it to something else. Same idea. He's the manager for Roman Reigns. So now which way does it go? Does he stick with his champion? Does he stick with his best friend? what happens? I think that's like the big interesting point of this. If they can focus on that in the storytelling and have Paul E playing both sides of it, I think they could have something.
The more Paul E is involved with these, I almost call them duds. They're huge stars, and they're very, they can do huge things in the ring, but on the mic, they're both duds. Is if you can get Paul E involved as much as possible, that'll make this thing even more and more interesting. The way I'm looking at it, the way I'm reading it, though, for some reason, I think they're just going to keep Paul with Roman Reigns and then just have Brock Lesnar be straight up babyface.
He's got to have there's got to be some just Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman in the ring type moments that Paul Heyman can lead the dance. I think that would be the best thing. And even if it's not him cutting the promos for him, it's Paul E burying himself through Brock, if you will. Paul's good at that stuff. He can figure that out. I got no question. But that was what this whole thing was based upon. That's almost what this whole pay-per-view is based upon, was Brock Lesnar walking out.
Yeah. That seemed to be what this whole thing centered around.
Sorry, Becky Lynch too. Becky was the midpoint, and then Brock being at the end.
To be honest, I'm not just out to shit on WWE. I was really hoping for a really good pay-per-view out of them. SummerSlam always seems to deliver, but besides Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar coming out, the rest of this pay-per-view was pretty forgettable. After we end this podcast, you and I aren't going to discuss and get excited about any match that was on this pay-per-view.
No, this was one that if you take out those surprises, you're not remembering anything. It'd be like, remember that SummerSlam after the pandemic, and then the Randy Orton tagged with that one guy?
Yeah.
You wouldn't remember anything of it. It would just be like a fart in the wind. So that's where I'm at with it as well. I agree with you 100%. If it wasn't for Becky and Brock, nobody really cared. Edge and Christian, my God, man. Edge and Seth Rollins put on a great match. The women's match was good, for the card that we were working with. But was it something for the ages? Nah. They've all got more matches in them just like that, if not better again. So I'm with you. This thing was mostly a stinkeroony.
Yeah, I just hope Brock's around on a regular basis. Yeah, I don't think much excitement's going to get built up around him if he's only showing up once a month or once every other month. I hope he's making at least every other week he shows up on TV to fuck with Roman Reigns.
Even if they're pre-taped interrupting promos that they could send in, edit in, and play, that'd be fine with me too. Where he's like talking shit to him, where he's like, you're not even worth my time to be there, guy. Like, I'm here in Canada. I've got my cattle ranch to handle here. I'm hanging out with Sable. What do you want from me? You want me here to talk to you? I'm just going to murder you in a couple weeks at the next show. He could put something together like that. And then they could probably make him look good, too, as they could edit it up and get the best takes and make it the best promo that he could possibly cut. So I think that's something that they could work with, but they never take my ideas. I submit them every week. And they never take them.
Yeah, you should apply to be a writer. They apparently hire anyone over in WWE. But that was a wrap on SummerSlam. We've only got one more show to cover, and we can run through this pretty quick if you'd like, Brian. We got Dynamite from Wednesday, August 25th.
That'd be yesterday as we record this live on YouTube. Make sure you guys check out YouTube and subscribe and hit the little notification bell. See when we go live. We record this on Thursday nights around 9 o'clock-ish. And you guys can sit and listen, get in chat, and talk about wrestling with us. So be a part of the team, man. Be a part of the team. All right, what happened on Dynamite?
All right, we start this thing out. Apparently, the Young Bucks aren't going to start out like they do every other week, but we send out something just as goofy. Orange Cassidy taking on Matt Hardy. And this match was just a goof to start the night. It was just a way to get the crowd to laugh, apparently. Um, just right off the bat, you got pocket gimmicks and fake
Delete.
kicks
Delete.
and deletes and Matt Hardy dropping money out of his pocket and scrambling to pick it up. And this was just a clown show. This whole first match was just a clown show.
This was the song that you might hate as a band if you're a band that you still have to play because everybody just knows it and loves it, right? This is Journey's Don't Stop Believin'. This is Billy Joel and Piano Man. This is whatever, anything like that. They got it was the pockets, the cheer, the kicks, the boos, the yes, the deletes. The crowd could be involved with it. And that's why they went right to it. And I get it. I don't necessarily like it. I can like it because I'm a mark and I love professional wrestling and I love to be entertained, but it's every week. And it's not even good every week. I know the New Age Outlaws did the, oh, you didn't know? And it was every week and every time they came out. But that was their entrance. Right?
Right.
So I can let it go. It's just every time, man. Every time you got to get the chants and the deletes and the I don't know. I guess I like it when other people do it and I hate it from other people. So I don't mind the Daniel Bryan yeses and nos. But the deletes and the kicks, I liked the kicks in the beginning. I was a defender of the kicks, but he doesn't use them in the way that I think that I was taking them in the beginning. So now I don't like them.
Right. But he is so over with this crowd. And so, yeah, I guess they'd be dumb not to use them. But when you really get down to brass tacks of this match, the guy isn't that great. He almost kills himself by screwing up a dive. He shatters Matt Hardy's nose, or at least it looked like he shattered Matt Hardy's nose.
Yeah.
Because he came off the ropes way too high on a cross body and just, I don't know if it's his arm, his ribs, or what, just landed right on Matt Hardy's face. And almost instantly, there's just blood pouring out of his nose like a goddamn faucet. And then Matt Hardy pretty much dominates this whole match. So it was just badly booked from beginning to end, I guess, is the only way to put it.
Yeah, the storytelling in this sucked. It was all about the beginning and the cheers and the boos, and then it moved on from there. It fell apart with a bloody nose. Luckily, Matt Hardy is a professional and has been to the dance many times, and he knew what to do and could keep doing it with a bloody nose and how to use it as selling as well, and he continued to work with it, even though it was a fuck-up.
And then the one thing I'm confused about of why Matt Hardy would allow Orange Cassidy, sure, it's fine to lose to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy's the guy who's over with the crowd. Matt Hardy's old, and he's just kind of there collecting a check. But Cassidy's the young guy. The slackers love him in the crowd. The young people love him. But Orange Cassidy not only hit a senton bomb, he also hits a twist of fate. And then Cassidy ends up pinning Matt Hardy with his hands in his pockets. So it was just completely, open your mouth, Matt. I'm going to shit right in it.
Yeah, the commentators tried to cover up the hands in the pocket, the last one it seemed like, by saying like that Orange Cassidy gained leverage by not holding Matt Hardy's tights by putting his hands in his own pockets and locking in the hold. So he didn't cheat. He held his own tights. So you can do that. I caught that at the end, but
I didn't get it.
Meh. I didn't need to get it. What happened after that?
Little pre-tape with Malachi Black giving Brock Anderson an out. I kind of like this right here. This gives Malachi Black a little more personality than just a killer. He knows Brock Anderson is not on his level, and he's giving him an out. Just come and apologize, and you can be on your way. And it just makes you hate Malachi Black even more, because Not only is he going to kick the little baby face's ass,
He said he's
but
going to.
he is telling them you can get out of it by saying you're sorry. You're not even worth my time.
Yeah. Malachi Black is money if they can stay on top of him and keep it rolling like they are. But if they can drop the ball very easily, and this could become a big cartoon gimmick as well. So they're on a fine line of how he is, right? If they go too far one way or the other, they're going to screw it up. They just got to let it happen. Take your time is all I can keep saying with this.
Yep. I think Malachi Black can be huge. And again, just take it slow. Do it right.
Let it evolve itself.
Then we get Chris Jericho comes out to a humongous pop. And Jericho says he utters these words himself, mentions that he is 0-3 against MJF. MJF has beat him 3 times, and it's still not over. He still wants another match. This feud should have ended a long time ago, Brian.
Yeah. And you knew when they were saying Jericho's coming out to talk about his future in AEW, it's like he's not retiring. He's going to lay it out. There's going to be another match. If he loses this match, he's going to be a full-time Dynamite commentator in hell, or not Dynamite, full-time Rampage commentator in hell. One time he might even make it over to Dynamite. Like, finally, MJF comes out. He's got a shitty shirt on that he made at the flea market before the show. And it says Jericho 0, MJF 3, and we continue on with we're going to have one more match and do it one more time.
And if Chris Jericho loses, he is done. He quits AEW. He's retired. Finito. And what do you think, Brian? There is a little speculation to be made on this one. Does Jericho actually hang up his boots because there's enough stars in AEW to keep that thing going, or is his ego really gonna take over here? He's gonna finally beat MJF, and what that's gonna evolve into is extending this feud even longer, which would be torture.
Yeah, no, he ain't going nowhere.
Believe me, wishful thinking is hoping that he loses and then he just goes on tour with Fozzy and then just kind of fades into obscurity or ends up back in WWE. I'm sure Vince would be happy to take him.
Yeah. No, that ain't happening. He's going to hang around AEW for a little bit longer.
And then what I like about MJF's promos and is when he's cutting a heel promo is he tells the truth a lot of the time. He calls out Jericho straight up for leeching off of his success and leeching off of him. And we kind of know that. We kind of know that Jericho needs to be in the spotlight. And the reason he's in the spotlight right now is because of MJF. MJF's the best talker in the business and a hell of a worker. And Jericho did it before with Orange Cassidy. Turned out that Cassidy was just a schmuck with no long-term storytelling ability with matches. But MJF, you see just Jericho just sucking the blood out of this thing as long as he can.
Yeah, MJF's star keeps growing brighter, though, so that's the good thing that keeps it. The only good thing that's coming out of this is that on the backside, MJF is just growing stronger and stronger and becoming more of a professional wrestler and not just a guy in wrestling anymore, if you get what I'm saying. Like he was a guy in wrestling before, now he is a professional wrestler. He is MJF.
To a T. And next we got more of the tag tournament thing going on here. We've got the Varsity Blondes taking on the Lucha Bros. This thing was great.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect out of it. Varsity Blondes are both pretty green. And they have a traditional style of working, kind of like a junior FTR at this point. Lucha Bros are all lucha, but these guys killed it. They managed to have a high energy match with a good mixture of luchadorian techniques and traditional style. Everything was super clean, man. Griff Garrison is good. He's getting better. But Brian Pillman was a star of this thing, man.
What did you think about Penta El Cerro Dinero wearing the Joker costume one more time? We've talked about it before. You can go back and listen to our show on YouTube, or you can go to anchor.fm/KayFabe We talked about it after the one out there in Vegas. I forget what they called that one. That wasn't all in. It was Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Yep.
After the Double or Nothing review, we talked about it. So, Eric, what did you think about Penta wearing that gimmick one more time?
It's funny you go back to the Double or Nothing, because I believe I said after that pay-per-view, I'm like, man, he spent a lot of money to get a custom-made suit made just to wear one night. We'll see what happens with that. And old Penta Cerro Dinero is living up to his name here. He's been recycling this custom pay-per-view outfit just on free TV constantly. And
this is like the fourth time I've seen him in it, at least, that I can think off the top of my head.
At this point, he needs to just embrace the Joker gimmick. Start coming out with cards and throwing them at people, because if you're going to wear this gimmick all the time, that's clearly designed for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view with the cards and the Joker and all that, you're going to have to embrace the Joker gimmick.
I was like, oh, God, Eric is probably hating every second of this when it came on. But you're right, though. This match was good. It mixed a great mixture of styles. They complemented each other when they needed to be complimented, and they carried each other well. Nobody really let the egos get in the way. It was get in and do your job, and everything was cool. So I liked it.
Yeah, of course, the Young Bucks had to get their faces on TV. They come out with Brandon Cutlet and the Good Brothers, and they set up chairs and watch this match. And then the Lucha Bros end up eventually winning and eliminating the Varsity Blondes from this tournament. They win with a double team pile driver. And then we get an afterbirth with the Elite. And eventually, the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks take a double suicida from Jungle Boy and Ray Phoenix, because the Lucha Express, or not the Lucha Express, the Jurassic Express had to get involved in this thing.
Yeah, Jurassic Express comes in to shake hands with the Lucha Bros and give them their hey, we're gonna face you guys next week. The winner of this gets a cage match against the tag team champions, the Young Bucks. As they're shaking hands, the Bucks creep in. They shove the Lucha Express from behind, and the Lucha Brothers, or I'm sorry, I said Lucha Express, didn't I?
You did. I don't know why we keep saying that.
Anyways, they pushed the Dinosaur and the Jungle Kid against the Lucha Bros, and I thought they could have sold the gimmick a little more, where the Lucha Bros are start beating up. But they just instantly take their word for it. Like, get shoved, and they, from behind, and it looks like they're attacking them, and they're just like, no, it wasn't us, it was them. They're like, right. And then they split, right? You get a Jungle Boy and a Ray Phoenix, and then you get a Luchasaurus and the other guy, Cerro Dinero. They do their thing, and whatever. They move on, and I'm not going to tear it apart too much of it, that it was crappy, but it was just, they could have made a storyline out of it a little more to build up for those two facing each other next week. But they instantly just made up and made friends, and now they're friends, and they're going to fight next week too. So that's always the weird thing.
That's one thing that annoys me with AEW. It just fits into the all-inclusive wrestling gimmick that so many times when tag teams or individuals are fighting each other, they're pals before the fight. We're just going to have a good-natured competition there, pal. Like, no, get some animosity, get some hatred between these two. The Lucha Bros can be a hell of a heel team. They're in the goddamn death triangle, for Christ's sake, and then they're just giggly and let's share some cervezas with fucking Jurassic Express. Like, so Jesus, quit sucking each other off before a match.
I think
hate each other.
I think that they could have ran with where the Young Bucks set them up, right? and they could have had that Jurassic Express beat down from the Lucha Bros. They still could have chased the Bucks out. They could have put 2 and 2 together. But, now the Lucha Express, I keep saying Lucha Express, the Jurassic Express is mad at them. It just creates a storyline. For the love of Pete, they create a storyline. They didn't do it. We'll move on.
No. We move on to Jamie Hayter with Britt Baker and Rebel in her corner versus Red Velvet. And I don't know how they do wrestling in the UK, Brian, but man, they are tough.
Oh yeah.
I got to watch this Vaulter match that was on the NXT pay-per-view. Jamie Hayter, also from the UK, she works super stiff, and she has taken some painful bumps. She took a couple flatbacks outside of the ring and just continues to move on. That is one tough chick, and that's the main thing I took from this thing. Red Velvet still green as pig shit. She misses. She just was clunky throughout this match, and Jamie Hayter was just really laying into her. This thing at the end, though, was kind of well played, because when Red Velvet first missed this standing moonsault splash thing, I thought she legitimately missed it, but the way they played it is that it was a work that she missed it, and then Jamie Hayter just capitalized on it to end up stealing the win with a mean-looking clothesline.
Hey, you know what's a good spot? Is I'll jump and I'll miss you completely and I'll look like an asshole, and then you beat me up and finish me.
I mean,
why would you even vote for that spot?
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad writing for sure. That's why I initially thought it was real that she missed it, but it played just like a badly written scene there that was Jamie Hayter's opportunity to steal this win. But Hayter and Britt Baker and Rebel end up attacking Velvet. Chris Statlander makes the save in her street clothes, and she's still wearing alien makeup even though she's wearing street clothes. She cleans house, attacks Britt Baker, and then that just kind of fuels the fire for the Chris Statlander Britt Baker feud.
They almost did that Chris Statlander Britt Baker part terrible. They almost messed the whole thing up by letting them get their hands on each other. This is supposed to be for the pay-per-view. It's like a week away. Let's relax. They didn't. They did it right. They almost screwed it up, but Britt, being the professional, gets out of the ring, and then they even had Statlander holding the belt up, so she got it back. You had Britt mad. She had the belt. You had it. It was just perfect. They didn't get their hands on each other. Britt looked like the heel. Statlander looks like the hero, the way it's supposed to be. And they almost screwed it up. If they would have let those two fight, they would have ruined it. The one time they don't send in 96 security guards and referees to break them up, right? They almost screwed it up.
Yeah, they did it right, and I feel Britt Baker was in charge of this thing. She seems to control whatever she's involved in, and it all seems to work out and come out looking great.
Yeah. Break my nose, break my knee, and I'll be the biggest professional wrestler in the world without having any matches for like a year.
Yeah, she's killing it, man. I love Britt Baker, and she came a long way from 2 years ago when she debuted over there in AEW. We've got the Dork Order backstage. We got a little tension going on, Brian. We got tension going on between Alex Reynolds and Pizzeria Uno.
Yeah.
Pizzeria Uno even pointing out that Alex Reynolds is Justin John Silver's shadow, right where he belongs.
Justin Silver, John Shadow, who gives a shit? Pizzeria Uno chatting it up, wearing a goofy mask again. Nobody knows what he looks like. Telling a terrible story. Colt Cabana chiming in slightly. Everybody standing there awkwardly. This thing was terrible from the word go. And the Dork Order's falling apart. And then he apologized for yelling. He should have just stuck with his guns and been mean. And been like, yo, fuck that dude. Get out of here then. You don't like it.
Pizzeria Uno's just a fat pussy, and I think he is playing the most natural character he knows how to play, because that's just him. And But yeah, just like you said, Dork Order's falling apart. If they want to save this thing because it's a homegrown AEW faction, um, they're going to need a complete overhaul. They're going to need somebody to go in there and not necessarily be Brody Lee, but kind of step up and take that authoritarian role and get the Dork Order back to something people can take seriously. It's a goddamn goof troop at this point.
It looks like they could possibly be doing that with trying to have Pizzeria Uno step up and being the guy, but having it be terrible, and then that's where you would place a Bray Wyatt. That's where you would place a Daniel Bryan. I don't know, whoever it is that you pull out to be the Dork Order. I'm just making up stuff. You don't know what they're going to do, but that's where you could place it as saying, hey, listen, you're not the guy. I'm the guy. And obviously Bray Wyatt's the best fit.
Yeah, definitely. I hope Bray Wyatt comes in there, and I hope he takes over the Dork Order.
Well,
and I hope they get another sense of seriousness about him, because Brody Lee seemed to be doing a good job with him.
I know we just said that they could do this very carefully, but it would have to, they got to be very careful with this gimmick. But Malachi Black is pretty dark.
Yeah.
But he's also very solo.
Yeah, he's doing great on his own. I would almost hate to see him tied down to a group.
It's too late now. It would have had to have been right when he came in. It's too late now, so don't do that now. Please don't listen to me, AEW. Don't do that now.
And Bray Wyatt, his natural thing is to have a cult following him around. So, yeah, Bray Wyatt would slide right into those shoes. And, of course, Brody Lee being one of his best friends, I think it's the storybook way to write it.
100. What happened after that?
After that, we got Tony Schiavone in the ring completely marking out for CM Punk. Schiavone's been in the wrestling business, 30, 40 years? And he's marking out for CM Punk more than you and I when we met him at Pro Wrestling Tees.
He is a fan first, Eric. He states it right there in his opening statement.
He does. On national TV, I'm a wrestling fan. Really, Tony?
CM Punk comes out. He can't hear Tony Schiavone. The crowd is just too damn loud. What'd you think of the promo? Anything weird and hidden in there, or what'd you think?
I thought this was a great promo. Punk kind of came out, reiterated some of the stuff he said on Rampage. I felt he was kind of leading the crowd. You get to see Punk work his magic here. Gets them to do what he wants. He's asking a lot of questions. He's questioning himself. He wants to know if he can still do it. He wants to know if he still has what it takes. He wants to know if he's the best in the world. And all that starts with Darby Allin. Well, with all these questions being asked, Brian, the crowd is compelled to respond, and they respond with a very loud, with a very enthusiastic chant of yes, yes, yes.
And CM Punk states, that's somebody else's shtick. I think you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that.
You're going to have to be a little more patient. And I think that was off the cuff, because that was a genuine kind of smile, laugh, like, I might have fucked up, but who cares? I'm CM Punk.
CM Punk, eat a dick.
Yeah, that was a huge... Anytime CM Punk's in the ring at this point, who knows how it's going to be a couple months down the road, but at this point, everybody who's in front of a TV, everybody who's in the crowd, anybody in the ring is going to be eating out of the palm of his hand.
Oh, for sure. I just hope he doesn't get AEW eyes, and I hope he keeps his vision pure and straight the way that he wants it.
Yeah, and that's what seems to happen. Whenever you get a serious people in there, like FTR, for example, when they refuse to just become one of the goof troop, this is before Cash Wheeler got hurt. You only see FTR wrestle like once a month, once every couple months, and then you see the Young Bucks opening every episode of Dynamite every single week.
The thing that they got that CM Punk has going for him is the proof is in the pudding that he will walk away. He walked away from WWE for the love of Pete. He did not just not re-sign. He just left.
So yeah, I don't think any EVPs who are going to get butt hurt that Punk's stealing the spotlight, I don't think any of them would have the balls to try and be like, bury this guy. He's taking the spotlight off of us.
I'll go home.
Yep. Next, we get a little pre-tape. Miro wants Eddie Kingston for some reason. Miro sure likes picking off the feeble. I know Eddie Kingston's tough as a $2 steak, but he's not very impressive looking.
No, but at least
next to Miro.
at least it'll be a match. At least you could possibly see a match in there. It's not like you're gonna get Shoddy Lee or whoever. These guys that just go out there to get murdered. So at least you got that going for them.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be an actual match. Eddie Kingston, like I say, he's tough as shit. So yeah, he'll take a beating from Miro. He's ultimately going to lose to Miro, I'm sure,
yes,
but
yes,
it'll be entertaining.
Entertaining nonetheless.
Next, we got a little 6-man match here. We've got Darby Allin, Eddie Kingston, and John Moxley taking on JD Drake, Cesar Bologna, and Ryan Nemeth.
Cool. Who won?
And, absolutely nothing worth noting in this match whatsoever. It was a complete shit show until Darby Allin gets the pin on Big Boss Shyster here. It looks like Erwin R. Shyster and Big Boss Man had a love child and slapped the name JD Drake on him.
Cool story, bro.
And then Jerry Garcia attacked Darby Allin.
Well, of course.
So, a couple skinny toddlers swinging at each other. We get a little behind the scenes action here. FTR, Dax Harwood cutting the majority of this promo here. Turns out Cash Wheeler had some nerve damage in his arm. I don't know if that's legit or not. They actually showed a close-up of when his arm got ripped open. But FTR will fight at least one more match as a tag team. And we're going to see that at All Out.
They fighting Proud and Powerful? Is that where we're going with this? Because they were cutting the promo on them last week.
Yeah, it's going to be Proud and Powerful again. And hopefully everything works out with Cash here. That would really stink.
After all this.
If he got tore up just because of one slip and catching his arm on the ring post there or on the tightening gimmick.
Yeah, that would suck for sure. Proud and Powerful and FTR, I mean, they don't disappoint, so this should be an interesting match at All Out. So I'm in for this one. I'm all in while I'm watching All Out.
Yeah, we get another face-off between Christian, Don Callis, and Kenny Omega.
Okay.
And just same old shit that we've been seeing every week. John Moxley pre-tape cuts a promo on Kojima.
He's going to fight the guy. He sent off 2 contracts to New Japan. Only one came back, and he gets to fight the old guy.
Yep. Nothing groundbreaking there. And then we get another 6-man tag match, which was, we get the Gun Club taking on Solo, Camarado, and QT Marshall.
Yeah, this one was exactly what it was set up for. I saw who was happening, and you saw that they had not the Big Show sitting on commentary, and you said, well, the Gun Club's going to win because they're going to make, QT Marshall look like an idiot. And, well, that's what happened.
Lo and behold, Paul White stands up and ooga booga, I'll beat you up. QT's distracted, and then one of the gun kids rolls up QT, and it's a wrap.
One of them gun boys.
Then we go, I don't know if this is backstage or another pre-tape, but Dollar General Jim Cornette is cutting a promo. And he's got Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page flanking him on either side. And he's just talking mad shit about AEW, and he's got the real deal right here with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. This guy, I don't really care about him. I'm losing his name right here. I didn't write it down.
Dan Henderson?
Something. Dan something or another. But
I want to say Henderson.
He's really getting the heat either way. So when he's out there talking shit, I think it's a good day for Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, because if they want to be heels, they're definitely going to have people hating them.
Yeah. This guy, like I said, like you said, Dollar Store, Dollar General, Jim Cornette. His promos look very similar to something that they had going on in about 95 or 96 with Jim Cornette cutting promos and ranting and raving about the professional wrestling, and the views expressed are nothing of but Jim Cornette's on his own. And I sent you over a little link to a YouTube from that last night, but it's like, wow, these kind of sound somewhat familiar, huh? So they went and made themselves a Walmart Jim Cornette, and I think that's the stab they're taking at him.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy writing right there. You get this guy to go out there and be the face, be the asshole, and then you just listen to the Jim Cornette experience every week and take notes. And here you go, Bill. That's what you're going to say this week.
Bill. Bill, Dan, Daryl, whatever your name is, stupid, go say this. Plug in an idiot. Have him go say it.
Now, when you think main event, Brian, when you think 2-hour wrestling show. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when I think main event, I think Brock. I mean, Brock is in the main event.
Yeah. I mean, instantly, hell, a guy named Brock closed out SummerSlam. So I'm thinking main event. I've got Malachi Black, one of the hottest heel stars in AEW. We got to put him against Brock, Brian.
He's taking on Brock Anderson.
Yes. The 13 or 30 spokesperson. You don't know how old he is.
13 or 30.
Brock Anderson looks just like his daddy. And
currently,
yeah, this is our main event, Brian.
I don't know if they're brothers. I don't know if they're brothers or sons. I don't know if they're cousins or if they're related, if they're dating. I'm not sure where these two come into play.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're putting Malachi Black against Brock Anderson in the main event. You're giving Brock Anderson a couple of offensive moves, and then, of course, Malachi Black dominates, and he's just healing it up, telling Arn to throw in the towel. Arn refuses to throw in the towel because his son really wants to put his all into this match. And then Aleister Black proceeds to kick Brock Anderson's head off and get the win.
Simple as that. There's nothing more that was expected of this. The only thing that was missing was the one time, in my opinion, that AEW needs to give an afterbirth, and they didn't.
I mean, unless you count Lee Johnson coming down to the ring and Aleister just leaving.
I don't count that at all. I'm talking a legitimate competitor for Malachi Black. That's what the afterbirth needed to be. Now, did they have to actually physically get involved? No. It could have went off the air with them staring each other down, challenging them. It could have been a pre-tape video package. It could have been anything, but there should have been some type of challenge leading to where this goes next. And if it goes to Shorty Lee or whatever his name is, like, screw that. Who cares? That doesn't count. I'm talking legitimate.
This thing left me, speaking of legitimate, left me legitimately confused because after Brock Anderson loses, Arn gets in the ring and he gets kicked in the face again. You would think he would have learned the first time. And then Lee Johnson, of all people, comes down and Malachi Black leaves. But what the hell does Lee Johnson have to do with any of this?
Because he's part of that Nightmare Family thing.
Oh, yeah, I forget. He's
That's
like the stepchild there.
That's it. That's all it is. It's just it's a piece of shit from the Nightmare faculty, and they can just. But it needed to be somebody that's going to step up and defend them while Cody's out or something. But just
I genuinely hope they are not pushing Lee Johnson to be the next challenger for Malachi Black here, unless they're just doing the old style WWE thing where you just have the heel come in and just mow down every shithead babyface you can think of
until you can get the real guy.
Get him 100 wins real quick.
But the hard part is that they've already beat the real guy. He already beat Cody and put him out of commission.
He beat Cody Rhodes in less time than he beat Brock Anderson.
Yeah. So then now he beat Brock, and now he's going to beat Shouty Johnson Lee. Who cares? What is he fighting for? That's what I'm saying. They got to play this carefully with him, or it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Period.
Who knows, man?
So
there's a lot of bad booking going around. So with the one thing you have in your pocket is creative freedom. So as much bad booking as they might throw at Malachi Black, hopefully he's got enough ideas written down from his WWE days that Vince said no to, that he can navigate through the waters and keep himself interesting and keep people hating him.
Yeah. They need to maybe put a little strap on him pretty quickly here, but that'd be my opinion. Doesn't have to be the heavyweight championship or the AEW championship, but it needs to maybe be a TNT championship or something like that. But that's all I got. And
That's a wrap on wrestling this week. I am going to get into that Vaulter match, and I will, even though it's going to be a couple weeks old at this point, I will be talking about that next Thursday because I know it's going to be a banger.
It was good. The NXT pay-per-view was pretty good itself. I'd say go back and just watch the whole thing because it was well worth it. And we can maybe talk a little bit about that next week. But until then, make sure you guys follow us on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of the TikTok, and all of that stuff. Like us and join us and follow us and hit the buttons on all of them. Share them with a friend. Review the podcast. And let's enjoy professional wrestling. Eric, Todd, what do you have for us before we hit the bricks?
I've only got one thing to say, Brian Rampa, and that is hooty hoo. We out the gates.